We back, y'all. Welcome back to the It Bees Like That podcast. I'm your host, Chris. What are we going to talk about today? Well, this is a topic. So you'll notice, and I've had a talk with numerous people about this before. And because I've, in my mind, felt like I needed to, and I think it's important to do what I'm about to say, but I'm about to share with you two things, and they're both important. I, in my mind, thought that I needed to, every single episode and every week, reinvent content and come up with new, fresh, and engaging content for people who, all 8 of y'all, come and enjoy it. Well, I do believe that it is a good idea to promote new ideas and kind of flesh these ideas out and create new content that people are going to enjoy. We also must revisit main points, and main points being the overall message and purpose for this podcast or the YouTube channel or any of the content that I make. Fitness, of course, yeah, it's in there. Nutrition, yeah, under the umbrella of fitness, all of the stuff. But mainly, my goal with the YouTube channel, with the Bees Like That podcast, is to share my experience, strength, and hope, and how. Here's where a mistake is made. I think that sometimes people miss the point when I highlight my triumphs. They feel like I'm trying to impress them. Trust me, that is the last thing on my mind. I gives a damn about impressing anybody. I don't care. All of that, anyway, nah. The last thing I'm trying to do is impress anybody. So I do highlight my triumphs because I believe that victory is a choice. And I don't mean victory like I'm the literal winner of a contest or a competition. I mean victory in our mind and on our spirits and how we experience the world every day. We can choose to be in victory or we can choose to be in victimhood. I choose to be in victory. We've covered that before too. But I do know that overall the goal is to empower people. And one of the ways that is one of the most efficient ways to empower people is to connect with them on a level, like on a human and experiential level, and we can all relate to making mistakes. So I often do highlight my mistakes and how I overcame them, how I became victorious over those mistakes, how I grew and how I learned, how I got here, where I'm at today. And I certainly didn't get there by trying to impress people, because there's always a new goalpost while trying to impress people. It will never be good enough, ever. The the armchair quarterbacks and the people, you know what I mean, like just the noodle arm naysayers, they're out there plenty and in force, and they will always have a negative word to share about your experience, about your look, about what you have to say, any and all of it. So my suggestion to people when it comes to shit like that, and circling back to the point of trying to impress people, just stop trying to impress people. Just stop. Because the truth is, you're going to, just by way of living your life and doing the things that you do, you will impress a certain amount of people, and a certain amount of people aren't going to mess with you. They're not going to like you for whatever reason. Who gives a damn? Who gives a damn? I smile at these people and just, you know what I mean? Just let goofy time be on goofy time, and they're just going to self-destruct. It'll peter out because that kind of negativity is not sustainable. You know what I mean? They'll move on to something else and, draw negative energy from another negative contract with another person or situation, and then just keep going on. And you'll see them 2-3 years later. You know what I mean? They're the head parts person at O'Reilly's. Come on, bro. Let's go. Let's go. Not that that's a bad job. You get the point. So, empowering people through sharing my mistakes in the ways in which I overcame them, the path that I took out of desperation, etc. And trust me, the mistakes that I made are, I've got a bunch. And it used to be that I had such a sad and unfortunate goal. And my goal was just that I'd resigned myself that I was just going to be this like consummate F up for the rest of my life. My goal was just to get to a place where, man, if I can only just not make these mistakes and get these kinds of outcomes, then I'll be good to go. How sad is that? How sad is that? When the focus should be on goal setting, game plan, strategy, faith, spirituality, all of the good stuff that I would tend to overlook. It's just really, really sad. And a lot of people live their life that way. I don't. I choose not to. But if there are people out there who, in their work or quest to empower, not even necessarily the powerless, but those who are searching to develop a voice, I don't know if there are other ways that you can empower people. I'm sure that there are. This is kind of a sensitive area, right? Because I know a lot of people who use a lot of tactics that they think are empowering people, but they really don't. They really don't. They're more focused on an outcome and what they can do with their set of power and authority and privilege, and become essentially kind of like a savior. That's not empowering people. You're not empowering people by rescuing them from their choices. There's a big difference between help, rescuing, and support. This is really funny place that people get caught in, where, and I noticed that it's not 100%, but a lot of the time it's people who've not lived in similar ways or experienced similar things to the people that they're serving, right? So they have this false idea about what being of service actually is. And they think that if they can just fix problems for people, that will fix the problems in the people. And that is not how that goes. Never how that goes. They believe that it is more compassionate to see an obstacle in front of someone, and if they have the ability to smash it for that person, man, you may in that moment have made their life a bit easier in that moment. But what's going to happen when you're not there the next time? And that same obstacle comes back around, because you know damn right and damn sure that it almost certainly will. We usually don't only see one particular kind of problem only once in our entire lifetime. We usually see a set of similar problems throughout our entire life, based on, a bunch of different things, culture and socioeconomic status, where we're from, our general disposition or personality. These kinds of things kind of generate the same kinds of issues in our lives as an individual. So it's not that we necessarily see new sets of problems and obstacles every single time we have them. No, we generally see the same ones over and over and over until we begin to become proficient at either eliminating those, mitigating the fallout from them, or, just doing our best to adjust and live with the prospect and the reality that they will rear their head inevitably, and we will just have to deal with it when they come. Just relief is, I think that everyone should be granted relief from, a reprieve from the ills of life, and I think that helps. But then right away, as soon as realistically possible, it is important to empower people to develop agency, self-determination, demonstrate for them the power that they have in their ability to choose. These are things that, man, so many people miss. We talk about them. I see them talked about so damn much. And that's something that, if you're like me, you get frustrated with people just flapping their gums about certain stuff. And they just, no one notices. They just talk a bunch of shit and then do whatever the hell they want. That's not, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Maybe I'm just some dipshit poor kid, with a heap of treated trauma and a healthy dose still to go, that's completely changed their life. Maybe I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Maybe I need to go to get more academic training and credentials to understand the life that I've lived and be taught more succinctly about exactly what it should mean to me in relation to the world that I've existed in, taught to me by people who don't know me and who've never lived it. Maybe I need more of that. Come on, bro. Telling you, a lot of the time I feel like I'm living in an upside down and backwards world. And I digress, and I don't mean any of that to say that most people are ill-intentioned, because I genuinely don't believe that. It can seem that way, but I genuinely don't believe that. I think that there's a mix, right? And kind of like a spectrum of naivete, inexperience, just lack of awareness, overall awareness. That I think is one of the biggest things I see. It's just a lack of overall awareness. And that is not an individual's fault. If you've lived a life where you've not had to be keenly aware of any potential threat in your direct environment every second of every day, you don't develop those skills. It's just not a part of who you are. You can't fault people for that. It gets annoying. It gets really annoying because to people like me, it can seem that you're very inconsiderate. People like me being people who did have to develop those skills. Because, been harmed by very dangerous and sick people, and just grew up around a lot of pathology and mental illness and disorder. But it is like that. It bees like that. But again, I don't share my triumphs to impress, to make myself out to be better than. But this is something that I noticed as someone who's notoriously or historically been the underdog or the one expected to underperform in life. Everything is cool so long as I'm operating within a margin of expectation that suits me, suits expectations of the world around me. Does that make sense? Once I hit the escape velocity and I break free of that margin, and now I'm vibrating on a frequency much higher than anyone ever anticipated, including myself. this is where it starts to become a problem, because now I'm a threat to different things, a lot of different things. And one of the things that I'm keenly aware that I am a threat to is like there's a spectrum of the status quo as well. You know, people do a lot of this at different levels of the status quo. You know, it's safer. You know, you get comfortable. You can say this. You can act in this way. You get these certain outcomes. So you never really have to actually prove any of that. What do I mean by prove it? I would ask myself a question that's kind of difficult to answer because it's difficult to do. You know, I want to be thoughtful I want to be more thoughtful than emotional. That's one of my new things to do. Prove it, I guess I would mean that like I've said before, it's less about the outcome that you want, you know, and suspending that your ability in the moment to rescue people from an issue, and a lot of time issues created by themselves as the individual, removing your ego out of it and, you know, letting a more natural course of events take place. Where it would be appropriate is if someone's rights were being trampled on, but it's easy, right? Like, oh, I have to protect this person because they've been through so much. Now their filter of the world is distorted, and they don't know how to prioritize and make choices that are going to work in the best interest of, you know, their lives or their needs. Okay, well, that's according to you. That's not empowering people. It's rescuing people. You need to stop doing that. Telling you, I was rescued from my choices for a long time by a few people. You know, people, and I don't say that they do this. All in all of them, in that they don't genuinely care, because I've had people in my life who'd rescued me, and I know that they loved me still. You know, like I know that behavior came from a place of love. I really do believe that in a few of these circumstances. But that's still selfish, though. It's hard to understand. It's hard to reconcile, because, okay, they do it because they love you. But not if they did love you, but there's another side of that. Like, there's a form of that love that is going to require them to restrict themselves, right? And allow you space to figure your way around this obstacle, just like you would had they not been, you know, a part of your life. That goes for partners, parents, siblings, employers, service providers. It doesn't matter. And as a provider of like a services worker, it's part of your job and responsibility to be able to, for yourself, this is your job, determine when and where it is appropriate for you to deploy that power, you know, over said obstacles and situations. And I'm telling you, it's a lot less than you think. It is a lot less than you think. And I've had an experience with the relationship between racism and my temper growing up. And my dad used to tell me, you can't beat them all up. you won't live long enough, right? As a services worker, I can't run around slapping the pipe out of people's hands or the bottle, or you get the point. I can't. So I won't do that. I won't do that. What my responsibility is, being on this side of recovery and victory, is this. Putting it out there and talking about it in a real way, not a prepackaged and polished way that's going to make everyone feel a part of and feel good and warm and fuzzy. That's not what I'm about. I'm not about making your life easier so that you feel better about the situation of someone who's doing poorly in life right now. I don't care about that either. I care more about the addict who still suffers, and more still about the addict who's still suffering, who's trying to get out, who's working, better said, who's working to get out, right? Care more about that person than I do your feelings. It's reality. Yeah, I care less about making people's egos, fragile as they may be, secure. I've just never been good at that. I see people do it, and honestly, man, I come back to the same thing over and over and over. My higher power has made my purpose abundantly clear to me. And there's a level of liberation and comfortability in that. Like, I don't have to suffer any of the pretense and, like, circumstance and just, like, BS-ery that a lot of people do. Whatever, man. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of space for everyone. There's a lot of space for everyone. To say it like that. See? More thoughtful and less emotional. This is good. Doing great, buddy. Doing great. So I guess I'll leave with this. Just a jewel, a little tip, a little highlight. It really pays to be considerate. It really, really pays to be considerate. Especially like to the people that are close to you, that you care about. Most of the time, and just from what I've seen, men, women, people, most of the time, people just want to feel like you've considered them, and that, like, you don't have to be reminded to be nice to them. What's that let them know? It lets them know that you actually give a damn about them, that you're thinking of them and their needs, and it may surprise you the reaction you get. They return the same feeling and sentiment to you. When people don't feel appreciated in this way or considered in this way, it'll be rare the case that you experience that same feeling if it's one that you want or value from these people. Just a little tidbit on life there for you. Well, check this out, man. If you didn't do it on the way in, please do it on the way out. Hit that like, subscribe, post notification bell. You can stay up to date on all the fun, creative, amazing, mind-blowing, what else we got? Just astonishingly outstanding and phenomenal conversations that we have here on the ABs Like That podcast. Bye.